Hello, good morning and welcome back to the Fish Locker out on the boat. Out on what looks to be an absolutely glorious day on the boat. I'm just laughing to myself. I went out and I had a little bit of a dive yesterday. This is the first time that I've been out on the boat in about 5 weeks, just because the weather has been absolutely horrific. Now this stunning day happens to have coincided on one of the largest tides of the year, so we're going to be stuck on exactly what we can do just because of the sheer volume of water that's going to be moving around. We'll try it over a reef, but I reckon that the drift is going to be fast. If I can find some bait, I might anchor up, and then on the way back in I might put the anchor down and scrub the hull off because she's been sat for a while. Gee, I've got a bit of a mixed day. I'm laughing to myself, like I said, because I went for a dive yesterday and I thought to myself, bah, blooming cold. Yes, the water temperature is 8.4 degrees. So yeah, no wonder I was cold yesterday. As usual, I will explain everything as I'm doing it. Just wish us luck on this stunner of a morning. Let's go. Like I said, the first order of the day is to try and find some bait. Whether that's pilchards, mackerel, scad, sand eels, anything like that. Because it's been so long since I've been to sea, I have absolutely no idea where the bait might be holding up. So the first part of the day really is just like a searching out. I'll have a set of feathers ready on this rod. This is a solid carbon, and this is the 20 to 30 version. I've got a couple of them. I've got a 12 to 20 and I've got a 20 30. And all I'm doing is just fishing a set of sabikis. Steering around, and if I see anything on the sounder that looks like it might be bait, I'll have a drop on it. At the moment, no luck. And then I'm going to stay in for maybe another couple of miles, try and find a piece of reef. Keep the feathers on the side, so if anything comes underneath the boat I can drop down. But have a chuck about with maybe a jig or a soft plastic, depends how fast the tide's running. If the tide's slower, I can fish with a jig. If the tide's too fast, I'm going to fish with a soft plastic. Just adapt as the day goes on. Oh yes. Gladly take them. Let's go, start moving to where we're going. I don't quite yet know how fast I'm going to be drifting. We're going at 1.3 knots. We're probably going to speed up to about 2.5. That is manageable. Any more and it's going to be too fast. Don't know if you see that coming back behind me. See how much tide's running through here now, can't you? Typical. Just as a helicopter's flying past. Yeah, flipping great Merlin helicopter flying overhead. There you go. Pop out. Lovely conditioned little pollock. What I am fishing, clean this line off, the line's got a bit of muck on it. What I'm fishing is I'm fishing just my inshore spinning setup, which is a 4,500 size reel, and this is I think it's a 40 gram. I'm saying it now. Yeah, 7 to 40 gram. I thought I was right. 25 pound mainline braid, 30 pound fluoro leader, just because it comes into contact with the rocks every now and again, and a little soft plastic lure. Will we get another chance to drop? Possibly if I'm quick. Just all morning, there's not been like a sound. As soon as I hook into a fish, flipping helicopter comes over the top. Must have been watching me. Yeah, I'll run that drift again. That was slightly different, that drift. Try and get us back in flowing water. You notice that we've spun right round there. It's because we've come through like the swirlies. We slowed down and we were going like 0.9 through that. So you're going to be going a little bit, like I said, not too fast, not too slow. Perfect. That's what you want. We're flopping all over the place. The tide is taking us that way. There is negligible wind. The reef is like this. So I'm casting a little bit up ahead. So by the time the lure's sunk to the bottom, it's right below the boat. It's easier and you're less chance of losing your lures if you can fish vertically. And all you do is drop to the bottom, 1 or 2 bounces and the slow wind. Try and keep it out of the ocean as best you can. Because them balloons, well, especially with the streamers attached to them, a number of times you find like a dead bird all wrapped up in it. Drifting now at 2.9 knots. Yeah, the drift's just too fast in here and out. We're going to have to go somewhere else. I'm going to do a little bit of fishing at anchor now. We're in about the middle of the tide, so the tide's going to be running quite fast. It's too fast to be fishing on the reef. So I'm going to put the hook down and try and fish on the seabed. Now, other than trying to stop the sun from shining straight at the camera, yeah, it's been a bit of a chew. I had a lot of questions when I was at the Big One show, and a lot of it was about small boat owning and small boat use. One of the questions I got the most of was anchoring up. The anchoring up that I'm going to be doing here is on sand, so I'm going to be using a soft ground anchor. Plough anchors, Bruce anchors, that type of thing. This is a Bruce anchor, it weighs 5 kilos. Also the length of chain. Generally you should have 1.5 times the length of your boat in chain. I have got a 17-foot boat, I have got about 20 odd feet of chain, but I have got thick chain. This chain is quite thick. Then after that I'll be running my rope and I'll be using an Alderney ring and a buoy. I've covered it in quite a lot of videos before, but I'm running through it now just in case anybody hasn't seen it. Where I want to anchor up, if this is the spot that I want to anchor up, there's no point putting your anchor down straight on top of it because you will get laid back. If this is the spot that you want to fish when you're anchoring, you anchor up tight of it, so your anchor rope will go up and your lines can drop down to it. I'm going to swing around, go up tide, drop my anchor down. I'm going to be anchoring up in about 20 metres of water, which means I'm going to be putting out around about 2.5 times the depth, 50 metres of rope. Okay? I like to work my anchor off the back of the boat. Just fished you out. Yeah, these are a real pain. I work the anchor off the back of the boat. So I throw it all off like that, set it all out so I've got more space to work rather than out of the front hatch. I then tie it off to one of the after cleats to make sure it's bedded in. When the boat starts to swing round, I know it's stuck. Then I pass the rope over the top, tie it to the front of the boat, let it go at the back, the boat swings round. That was explaining it, quick time, you'll be able to see it now when I do it. There's my Alderney ring, clipped on with the carabiner. Now what I'll do is I use a batten of wood. Now I'll pass it through and loop it over. This way the Alderney ring will slide up to the piece of wood and will go no further. I'm made up to the after cleat now. The boat is effectively anchored backwards. It beds in. You can feel how the boat's starting to hold. The anchor's bedded tight in. I can now pass the rope over the front of the boat, tie it off. Flip this off. Like that. And the boat will swing round in the tide. That is how I anchor the boat. boat should now swing fully round and we're sighting the tide. Now it might take a couple of minutes before it finds where it wants to sit. Like it might swing around a little bit and then it'll settle. As it's taking that time to settle, I'm going to start rigging up the rods and the baits. I'll show you those in a second. Right, the boat is sat back nicely. We're moving around a little bit, but it's not going to be too bad. And I am rigging up some baits. I'm going to be fishing on the flat, on sand. It's going to be likely be rays, bullus, dogfish, maybe some strap eels. I might be lucky and pick out like a place. Yeah. Most of the hooks are going to be 3/0 this size on about 2.5 to 3 feet of 30-pound mono. Taking the mackerel, cutting the fillets off, cutting them into little strips. And all I do is you take your hook. My favourite bit is the bit by the end of the tail, because there's a lot of sinews right in the end piece, and you just hook it straight through. See how tough it is there? There, look. And then spin it round and hook it through a couple more times. There you go. You have a nice little patch of bait, something to flutter about in the tide, a little bit of a silver flash and some flesh. We're going to bite already then. Got one rod out. On the end of all my rods, I usually have a braid main line and then a mono leader, and I'll have a swivel. In this case, I have a slider and a swivel. So I'm just going to open up my swivel up. Open up my swivel up. Yeah, too many ups. Clip on my hook length, and then attach a lead. This free sliding rig, sliding ledger here, allows the fish to bite without feeling the lead, and then it'll just slide through. So I'll get a bite on the, I'll register a bite on the rod tip like that, but it won't feel the lead. Out the back of the boat, try and spread the baits out a little bit, just so you cover a bigger area. But not only that, because as the boat is yawling around a little tiny bit, if you have them too close, they'll just trot together and they'll end up in a big tangle. And this rod, I'm actually going to be setting it just on the ratchet, so you'll hear if there's a bite. With these massive tides as they are, there's only certain things that you can do, just because the flow of the current is too fast. I went over another piece of reef and I stopped the boat, and it was as if the engine was still going. Well, we were a good 4 knots in tide. that would have been perfect timing. This is just the boat moving around. You get it's like zzz, zzz, zzz. It's just the boat moving around. If it's a fish, you've got zzz. I'll get the mother baits out, come back to you. We have been fishing here for over 3/4 of an hour and we haven't had a single bite, so I'm going to move somewhere else. There we go. See that the buoy has slid right down to the anchor now. The buoy is burying below the water. It's like, swing around now and pick it up. There you go. Just like that. Let's go. Right, well, that is an absolute waste of my flipping time. We have just got slopping about all over the place. We've got an easterly wind against a flipping strong tide. Yeah, complete waste of time. I have tried putting a camera down on the seabed. If it's got anything interesting to show you, I'll put it in now, but I highly doubt it. I imagine it's going to be, just because of the strength of the tide, there's going to be no fish about. It's just going to be little whelks or crabs. As suspected, there was no fish life to be seen, just lots of whelks and crabs. This is a time lapse of over 15 minutes. Yeah. Well, I'm going to sack this off as a bad job, and I'm going to go and try and find somewhere sheltered to go and put the anchor down, so I can get my wetsuit on and go and scrub the bottom of the boat. After I've done all that and the tide's changed, I will might even look at putting the anchor down again somewhere sheltered nearer to home. But yeah, it's just tide's too big. Simple of it. Two worst conditions to have: wind against tide and an easterly. And we have both of them right now. Look at that. Found a nice little sheltered cove. Oh, but I'll put the anchor down, get my wetsuit, and then we'll have a little bit of a dive about. This is a damn sight nicer. As soon as you're out in that run of tide and the wind's against it, it's just diabolical. Right, suited and booted, and let's get wet. My boat isn't anti-fouled. It's protected with something called copper coat, and the copper in it works best when it's activated with light scouring. So this cleaning benefits in two ways. It removes any weed and prevents it from coming back for longer. Right, I have cleaned off the bottom of the boat. I had a little bit of a dive around and found a couple of scallywags. That's definitely turned the day around. And now, because it's calmed off quite nicely in here and the tide hasn't quite started running, I'm going to go and drop onto an area of reef to go and see if I can't find a lobster as well. And then, if I have enough time, I will change back into my normal clothes, not my rubber suit, and I'll go and put the anchor down and I'll go and try and fish for a thornback ray and a bullus. We'll just see how the day unfolds. But yeah, that has definitely turned things around. Went down to go and check the anchor and it was like scallop, 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 scallop. Brilliant. Yeah. Water was blooming cold though. Right. Let's make tracks. Where? Let's go and get wet. In this thick reefy ground, you really need to get your head right down in amongst it all to search out the creatures that are living there. female crab is actually carrying a lot of eggs, so I'm going to have to put her back anyway. Oh. Bogey check. Right, I have been in the water for another hour. Found 2 lobsters, couldn't get either of them out. And I'm that cold now, I can't use my fingers. Yeah. It's time to get changed. Time to get changed, time to go somewhere else, time to get some food in me, and definitely a drink. Oh. Right, sit back at anchor. Get my rigs ready, get some food in me and get a drink, because I am flagging. It's unbelievable how much cold saps your strength, saps your energy. Right, now that is sorted, I can get some food and drink on the go. You keep an eye on them rods behind me, please. First things first, get a drink in me. Right, I've shown these in some videos before. Today's video is supported by Holy energy drinks, and I use them in a few. I use them when I go to the gym. Like you might have seen me use them in videos before, like when I'd come away from abroad and I was suffering with jet lag. I'm sorry, you can probably tell I'm flagging a bit now, so I'm going to get myself an energy drink. I've talked about these in videos before. I will put information in the description of the video about them, but there's no sugars, no taurine, all that nice stuff. I don't do caffeine. If I had a coffee, I think it'd blow my head off. I find that these are just right. Some energy drinks, even like the natural supplement ones, can be a little bit too aggressive for me. These are, this is actually a new flavour. I like the blood orange, and this is a mango and passion fruit flavour. And all you do is you get yourself your Holy or other drinks. I like this one because it's got a full portion. All you need to do is fill it up with a full scoop of water. There we go, there's that. It's almost like a blue Peter. Yeah. Tear off the top. Try not to get it in your eye. Tip it in there, shake it up, and have a drink. I will put links in the description, like I said, and probably at the top of the comments, where you can pick some of these up for yourself. But yeah, I do like these myself. I do use them myself. I use them at the gym. I use them when I'm maybe feeling a little bit worse for wear after a decent night out. When you place your order, be sure to check out the starter set. And for Fish Locker fans, there's a discount code below and in the video description. But also, what I need in me right now is some warm food. Get my stove going and get a toasty on the go. Really simply, all this is, it's just a gas stove and yeah. And this is where the magic happens. Yeah. Make me sandwich up at home. This is like a blue pit at the moment. Make me cheese and pickle sandwich up at home. Put it in my really high-tech, fancy sandwich maker. Don't you go anywhere. Like that. Close it up. Clip it up so it doesn't fall out and burn. Put it on the fire. Yeah, that stove there, this wonderful invention that I'm working on right now, that there, people come in and go from your life. Some people leave a positive impact, some people a negative one. Dave Collins from the Silent Warrior, I went out fishing with him this winter and I was like freezing, and out of nowhere he pops up with his stove and makes me like a red hot toasty, and I tell you what, I could have kissed him. Dave Collins, you have definitely been a positive influence on my life. Silent Warrior. Oh, I tell you what. Gordon Ramsay, eat your heart out. Warm food on a cold day makes a world of difference. We have been getting some little pecking bites too. Just in time. Right, not much to be missed on that bite, is there? Going for it. Bites on this were going wild. But I'm thinking it's tiny, tiny whiting maybe. They were pecking and pecking and pecking and pecking. Which is more like, well, I've got it, whatever, well, I had it. I don't know if I've still got it. What was I just saying? Whiting. A little tiny one. Yeah, that bite that I've had off that there. Back you go. I'll try and show you the difference. If I can get a ray or if I can get a dogfish or a bullus, the bites are different. That was like a... the rod tip was just going... Yeah, I thought it looked like a whiting bite, and it was. Tell you what, that flipping helicopter must be following me around today. Every single time I turn the camera on to rolling fishing, there's a chuffing helicopter. Yeah, all I'm doing is just them little strips of mackerel, look. Same rigs as before. Again, I've put a camera down on the seabed. If it's worked and if it's shown anything, it'll be in hell. I'm expecting it's probably going to be whiting. But also, I've been watching on the sounder and some fish keep swimming through, so mackerel, pilchards and whiting possibly. The picture is quite cloudy due to the stir up of the strong current and the depth and the fact the sun was going down. But you can clearly see large shoals of whiting moving around on the seabed. I think this is fascinating. And of course crabs. Plenty of crabs. Yeah, tell you what, you feel better with a bit of food in your belly, don't you? I knew like I was reaching my limit when I was in the water. Like my fingers had gone numb, so I couldn't turn camera on and off. That last lobster, I think if I'd have found it first when I first got in, I'd probably had it out, but my fingers were just too cold, I just couldn't get hold of it properly. And also, I was starting to get cramps in my legs. Like as soon as I start getting cramps in my legs, I know like I'm done. I'm empty. The tank's empty. Like I'd kind of speculated this morning, just with the sheer size of the tide, some of the largest springs of the year, and the movement between high tide and low tide, it's still the same period of time. It's still the same 6¼ hours. So because more water's got to move, the current flow is just massive. Fish in this current, I mean, yeah, fish like a little bit of tide to feed. When there's this much, they hang down deep, they hide behind rocks, they knock into the kelp, anything to stay out of the current just to conserve a little bit of energy. Imagine being walking about outside and there's a storm going on. Everything takes shelter, doesn't it? Nice dive around, cleaned the bottom of the boat off, found some scallywags. And if I pull out a fish, it's not been a blank, but I tell you what, it's not been a bagging up session either, has it? If I pull out a thornback rare or a bullus at the end of this, I would consider today to have been an absolute success. Not just a partial success. Trying to do too many things at once, and I've char grilled my toasty. Ooh, maybe it's not a whiting. Might still be a whiting. There's a little bit more weight there than little baby whiting. Well, that's why. I did say, didn't I? I said there might still be a whiting, but there's a little bit more weight than a whiting. And that's because there's a whiting and a spider crab. That is a little female spider crab, and when they bite out of it, it's just like a solid weight. So if these are down there as well, then no wonder we're not finding the bigger fish. No, I'm lying. It's a little male. With these, generally, see the eye of the hook's just at the corner of its mouth. If you can see the eye, you can turn the bend. So you just go like that, and you lever it against the corner of its mouth, and it pops out. Look, there you go. Very occasionally, it does seem like I know what I'm talking about, doesn't it? I said there, I was like, yeah, the bite looked like a whiting, but the weight wasn't just a whiting. So a whiting and something else. I'm calling another spider crab. Oh, just dropped off there. Lots of crabs. And like I said, spider crabs, it's just a dead weight. And then if it gets light halfway up, they just let go. Like that one, it got to just at the back of the boat. Tried to lift it up and it just dropped off. So, little whiting and spider crabs. I thought before I'd been for this dive that we might have been a little bit early for the spider crabs, but I did see quite a few when I was diving around. Coming shore to mate and molt. When they're molting, it is fascinating because they pile up on top of each other. Like the ones at the middle of the ball, like the bottom of the dog pile, are actually the the softest ones, the ones that are most vulnerable, and the harder shelled ones on the outside protect them. People often get mistaken because after they've all molted and there's loads of shells all at once, they think that there's loads of dead crabs, and it's not, it's just the rolled shells. Some of my diving videos I've found them before, like piles of 40, 50, 60 of them, like 5-6 metres across, and like, yeah, just piles of spider crabs. But yeah, at the moment all I'm doing is I'm changing out bait like frequently, just because they're getting mobbed up by crabs. Yep, that'll be another spider crab. Yep, just as suspected. Get rid of Mr. Crab. Mrs. Crab this time actually. Female spider crab. Spider crab. Again. That's alright, it's just chopped off. Got half an hour of daylight left. Another one. Relentless. Oh. Got him all the way at the boat and he dropped off. Another little whiting. Yeah, they're just between them and the spiders. Yeah, not much you can do. In total, I think I've landed 9 whiting, and there's tons of them where they've just like pecked me off. 10 more minutes, I reckon. One last cast. I'll start tidying everything else down. We'll fish these baits out. I'm just packing everything into my bag, and I found a curly whirly. Results. Yeah. Don't even know where this has come from. It's one of yours, James, I'm sorry. They are getting even skinnier. I don't know if you're the same, but if I bring a rod with me, I like to catch a fish with it. Otherwise I feel like it's not been worth bringing it. Yeah. I've caught a fish on every single rod, if you can call them fish. Great big spider crab. One bait left. That feels more like a bullhuss. Come on, this is where you lose them. Don't lose it, don't lose it. Yes! I got it! Oh! Yes! Oh, tell you what, you'd think I'd planned it like that. What? Literally, like all the rods have all been put away. It was the last one. I was finishing tidying that last little bit. It was the last seconds of light. The sun is properly going down. I'd given it longer than I should have done. I saw the tiniest little pluck and I was like, ooh. Just picked the rod up, and as I picked the rod up, it just went doof. Yes! And that is a really aggressive bullhuss. Go on, wash your mouth. Relax, relax. I just want to take some pictures. Yeah, these guys are just 110% aggression. I will give him a second or two to calm down. And give her a second to stop. You're biting everything. You're biting frigging everything now. Give her a second to calm down. Are you going to chill out or not? Tell you what, get the hook out first. Wanted to know, there's the hook. There's the hook, just in the corner of her mouth as she's trying to do some gymnastics. There's the hook. Literally the last scrap of mackerel, and I'll redeem myself with something that I would consider to be a fish. Now, look, if you can see the teeth in there. Now look. And oh, it's just one massive great muscle. Like, well, you can see it all down its back. And what it tries to do is its skin is, oh, can you hear it? Its skin is really rough, and what it's trying to do is it's trying to bring its tail up to rub me and take my skin off. It's trying to scratch me with its tail and bite me with its mouth. It's just not going to do it. The way that you can tell the difference between bullnuts and dogfish is these nasal flaps here. Can you wear her skin? Those flaps there on her nose, that's how you tell the difference between a bullnut and a dogfish. I'm going to video her release. I'm just going to give her a second to chill out, and it is going to be pitch black in like 5 minutes. So I want to get this anchor up. That one last cast. Those markings on there are just beautiful, and you can hear her skin, look. Smooth one way and the other. I'm going to straighten out. You can go back now if you stop blacking on. You ready? You going? Stop rolling about. There you go. Straight down. No messing about. I do not mind ending there. Yeah, that was a difficult day. It's an honest representation of what it's like at this time of year. Yeah, you really have to work for it. I hope you enjoyed joining me. I hope you found it interesting. All the very best. See you later. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out the Fish Locker YouTube channel, where we have hundreds of videos from our adventures just like this one. We upload new videos every Sunday evening, so don't forget to click subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. Let's go.